mince his words when he was asked about Vladimir Putin. He took it a step further, calling the Russian president a war criminal. It's an allegation not taken lightly, with the International Criminal Court already investigating whether Russia's attacks meet the bar to be considered legitimate war crimes. The ICC's chief prosecutor sat down exclusively with my colleague Anderson Cooper to talk about the investigation so far.
In the past, getting justice has taken years and years, decades sometimes. What is the time frame you think this may take?
I think this is a test for us. International justice has been, it's done remarkable things since Nuremberg, but it's not been an easy road. It's been criticized in parts for being slow, for being ineffective and not making a real difference to people's lives. I think this is a test for the court. It's a test for me. It's a test for the office. That we see the whole world is holding its breath.
Because the world is watching what is happening here, the stakes are high for not only for finding justice here, but for the international order of law.
I think this is why we need the law more than ever. We have to value the law, restrain ourselves individually when we have the upper hand, and realize for our collective survival and for the collective progression of civilization, humanity, this law is worth fighting for and protecting and supporting. And what I'm really keen about is it's not a burden of me as prosecutor, it's not a burden of the office of the prosecutor, it's not a burden just of Ukraine or of states. These red lines that demark basic norms of acceptable conduct, like prohibition against genocide and crimes against humanity and war crimes, these red lines need to be policed by all of us.
It's interesting in the world of politics and international, international diplomacy. Political leaders are often wary of drawing red lines. You're not wary of drawing a red line when it comes to the law.
Well, there's red lines. These are the basic minimum standards. This is an opportunity to mobilize the law and send the law into battle to protect and to deter and to insist on accountability. Because if we don't do this, we're going to keep on having these sweet nothings of never again, of wringing our hands and knowing what is coming tomorrow, because we saw it yesterday.
We've seen video of a maternity hospital being attacked. We've seen a pregnant woman being brought out who ultimately died, as did her baby. And on the face of it, that would seem to be a war crime. Is that enough from a legal standpoint?
Well, it's a start. I mean, clearly, I'm here for a reason, and we have reasonable grounds to believe crimes within the jurisdiction of the court are being committed.
You have reasonable grounds to believe that alleged war crimes, alleged crimes against humanity have been committed.
Absolutely. And one sees, one thing is clear, and the law is clear on this, it is a crime to intentionally target civilians. It is a crime to intentionally target civilian objects. Now, of course, has to be further investigation. Were those civilian objects being used to launch attacks that made them legitimate targets? But even then, it's no license to use cluster bombs or use disproportionate attacks in concentrated civilian areas.
The ICC chief prosecutor there in an interview with Anderson Cooper. He also says that anyone can be served in an indictment, regardless of military rank or civilian status. I'll have more from Lviv in Ukraine at the top of the hour. First, though, let's bring in John Vaz.